It's been hard. It's been hard.
DaCara Thompson's parents just want her home, baby. When you hear the details about what happened to DaCara Thompson, it just keeps getting more gruesome every day. This child's story is shocking. Right now, it's unclear exactly how he convinced DaCara to get into his vehicle.
Still under investigation. It appears that DaCara willfully entered a vehicle being driven by Hugo Rene Hernandez Mendez.
Because she left her purse in her parked car, which was in a no parking zone, meaning she never planned to stay long. And she even told her dad she'd be back soon. But here's what makes it even more puzzling. Why would he bring a random girl to his home, where his family, including children, lived? Most predators would go to hotels or motels to avoid traceability, but this man brought her to his residence. Something about this doesn't add up, and there's a darker layer. Allegedly, investigators found other women's underwear in Hugo's bedroom. Is this the work of a serial offender? Did DaCara know him prior to that night? And what are the rest of his family members hiding? Meanwhile, social media has been flooded with unhelpful and cruel theories, including suggestions that DaCara might have been involved in some kind of self-exploitation, but the facts tell a different story. She was last seen by her father on the night of August 22nd, reported missing just before 9 p.m. on August 23rd. He said she had texted that she was going to get gas and would be back, but she never returned. By August 24th, her family tracked her phone through the Find My Phone app to an intersection in Hyattsville. They saw her car and immediately contacted police. DaCara, the youngest of 5 siblings, had always shared her location with family, so it was easy to see that her phone had been turned off near the last location. Even in these early days, the family held on to hope, but fear grew when her bank account remained untouched. Unfortunately, on August 31st, around 4:50 p.m., Maryland State Police responded to a disabled vehicle on Route 50 between Maryland Route 424 and Maryland Route 97 in Amalis, near the short bridge over the South River. There, troopers discovered a body about 30 feet below the river embankment. By September 3rd, detectives were able to confirm the identity as DaCara Thompson through the photos and personal identifiers her family provided, including tattoos and jewelry. Reports indicate she had skull and facial fractures. What makes this case even more chilling is the surveillance footage from the early morning of August 23rd. At 3:06 a.m., DaCara was seen leaving her white SUV and walking from Jasmine Terrace toward University Boulevard in Hyattsville. She enters the parking lot of a nearby business and approaches a black GMC Yukon Denali. She talks to the driver, then walks around and gets into the passenger seat. Authorities later identified the vehicle as registered to Hugo Hernandez Mendez of Bowie, Maryland. Now here's what doesn't make sense. DaCara left her purse in the car, parked right in front of a fire hydrant. Who does that at 3 a.m.? Was she planning to return in a matter of minutes? Was this a prearranged meeting? Or did she trust Hugo enough to leave her belongings behind? Did she turn off her phone's location voluntarily? Every detail raises more questions than answers. On September 3rd, detectives went to Hugo's home just before 9 p.m. They observed the black SUV parked outside and obtained a residential search warrant. When they returned early the next morning, they noticed a man leaving the home in the front seat of the SUV. Questioned by police, Hugo claimed he had been at the Galaxy nightclub on University Boulevard that early morning, across the street from where DaCara was seen getting into his vehicle, and that he was supposed to meet his ex-girlfriend but never did. When questioned further, he denied any involvement in DaCara's disappearance and asked for a lawyer. After obtaining the search warrant, police found what they believed to be DaCara's blood, along with a missing white and pink French manicured fingernail, hair, a wig, and other evidence in Hugo's bedroom and trash. They also discovered multiple pairs of women's underwear and lingerie. Hugo Hernandez Mendez was then arrested and charged with first and second-degree unaliving in the horrific death of 19-year-old DaCara Thompson. IS also issued a detainer, labeling him a criminal illegal alien, and authorities vowed justice for DaCara's family. Investigators believe DaCara was killed inside Hugo's bedroom in the early morning hours of August 23rd. Then her body was driven to Route 50 between Route 424 and Route 97 in Amalis and thrown over the short bridge. The coldness required to calmly load a body into a car, drive along a busy highway, and toss it over a bridge is almost unimaginable. What's even more disturbing is that there were people in the house while this allegedly happened. They were questioned by police, One cousin living in the home with Hugo and others claimed she rarely saw him over the last 2 weeks and had noticed a change in his behavior. She said she encouraged him to confess, but insisted she didn't understand how her cousin's criminal investigation led to her husband's sudden immigration detainer. Another roommate reported hearing Dara and Hugo having intercourse, followed by grunting that made them suspect someone wasn't consenting. They remembered later that the GMC wasn't parked outside, which they found odd since Hugo supposedly doesn't work Saturdays, and normally the vehicle is always there. Other roommates claim to know nothing about what happened that night. All of this raises questions. Did anyone in that house see more than they're admitting? Are family members protecting Hugo out of fear, loyalty, or self-preservation? Between the cousin's uneasy comments, the husband's sudden immigration arrest, and the roommate's testimony, it's clear pieces of this puzzle may still be hidden. Hugo Hernandez Mendez wasn't exactly a stranger to trouble. Long before Dara's name became linked to this horrifying case, he had already built a criminal record that reads like a guide to reckless behavior. Multiple DUI charges, driving with an open container of alcohol, operating a vehicle without due care, ignoring traffic signs, unsafe lane changes, and even driving on a suspended license. Hugo had a long history of treating the road like his personal playground. What's shocking is how he was still able to roam freely despite this track record, especially as someone considered an illegal resident. How does a person with that kind of history remain at large? Anna raises serious questions about enforcement, oversight, and how this tragedy may have been preventable. Investigators are still trying to determine whether Dara and Hugo knew each other prior to that night. Was this a spontaneous encounter, or had plans been made in advance? The circumstances surrounding her decision to leave her SUV in a high-risk parking spot, leave her purse behind, and enter his vehicle are puzzling. Was she distracted, trusting, or lured? Did she willingly turn off her location? Hugo's family and housemates' statements also leave investigators uneasy. Were they truthful about what they saw and heard, or are they withholding information? Some neighbors in the area have even speculated whether Hugo could be connected to other missing persons, given the pattern of collecting women's underwear and lingerie. Could this have been more than a single incident? The chilling reality is that every layer of this case, Dara's last known movements, Hugo's criminal past, the evidence inside his home, and the testimonies of those around him, points to a level of cold, calculated behavior that's almost impossible to fathom. This isn't just a story of a tragic loss. It's a deep investigation into the mind of someone who allegedly treated human life as disposable. The aftermath of Dara Thompson's death has left a community shaken and a family desperate for answers. Questions still swirl around the events of that night. Did Dara know Hugo before she got into his car, or was this a cruel twist of fate? Why did she leave her purse in a high-risk spot, turn off her phone, and enter a stranger's vehicle at 3 a.m.? And perhaps most haunting, what did the people in Hugo's home witness, and what are they not saying? Authorities are continuing their investigation, trying to piece together the timeline, the relationships, and any connections to other missing persons. The evidence from Hugo's bedroom, blood, hair, fingernail fragments, lingerie, and other personal items, paints a picture of premeditation and disturbing behavior. Every new detail only deepens the mystery and horror of what Dara went through. Meanwhile, the public has reacted with shock, anger, and disbelief. Social media is flooded with theories, some cruel, some empathetic, and some attempting to make sense of the unthinkable. Activists and local community members have raised questions about why certain cases gain more attention than others. But for Dara's family, the focus remains singular: justice for their daughter. The chilling reality is that Hugo Hernandez Mendez now faces serious charges, yet so many questions remain unanswered. Did Dara enter the vehicle willingly or under coercion? Did he act alone, or were others complicit in some way? And in the broader sense, how many warning signs were ignored before this tragedy occurred? Dara's story is a stark reminder of how quickly a life can be shattered and how complex the pursuit of justice can become. Her parents, her siblings, and a grieving community are left piecing together fragments of truth while demanding answers that may never fully come. The case is ongoing, and authorities urge anyone with information to come forward in hopes of shedding light on every dark corner of this horrific tragedy. What makes this case so chilling isn't just the act itself, it's the mindset, the planning, and the questions that refuse to be answered. Hugo Hernandez Mendez allegedly carried out a crime that demonstrates a shocking detachment from human life, and yet people in his household may have been witnesses, or at least aware of changes in his behavior. Investigators are still trying to understand what the people inside that home saw, heard, or ignored, and whether loyalty, fear, or self-preservation played a role in keeping silent. DaCara Thompson's last movements are being dissected piece by piece. The choice to leave her SUV in a no-parking zone, leaving her purse behind, the timing at 3 a.m., and her apparent trust in someone she may have barely known. Each detail raises more questions than answers. Was this a spur-of-the-moment decision, or was there planning involved on Hugo's side? And if she did know him prior to that night, why is that part of the story so elusive? Hugo's history paints a larger picture of risk-taking and recklessness, from DUIs and driving on suspended licenses to operating vehicles without care for safety. But those past offenses now feel like small warnings that in hindsight hinted at something darker. The evidence collected at his home, blood, hair, fingernails, wigs, and women's underwear, shows not just a single act of violence but behavior that could indicate a pattern, one that investigators are still trying to trace. Community members, law enforcement, and DaCara's grieving family are left grappling with the unimaginable, the thought that someone could treat a life as disposable, move with calculated precision, and yet be surrounded by people who may hold pieces of the puzzle but are silent. The case is far from closed, and every new detail exposes a deeper layer of horror. DaCara's story is a haunting reminder of vulnerability, trust, and the lengths to which some individuals will go to hide the truth.